Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Sagittarius April 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James, clairvoyant. Well, this month I have a rather interesting deck for you. It's called the Heindel deck. It must be about 30 years old. Or maybe closer to 40, I don't know. That's what the back of the thing looks like if you have any interesting. But it will enable me to provide you with a unique perspective on the energies and influences which are surrounding you this month, and it will help you navigate the month with insight and awareness. Now, in addition to the usual astrology and numerology that I use, this deck contains Chinese hexagrams, I Ching. It contains runes from the Elder Futhark alphabet of the Vikings, and also prominently some ancient biblical Hebrew letters, which also act as lenses, which impart to me, anyway, perspectives on information that is in the other realm. Of course, the cards are not predictors of a fixed future for you, but they are lenses that reflect the energies that are at play, and it will enable me to provide you with guidance and a deeper understanding of the path that you are on. Now, over the course of the last month, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype. And if you might be interested in seeing what's involved in that, to have a clairvoyant reading with me, check out the information that's in the description box below. Now, separately, when I was born, I was given the gift of clairvoyance. I was also given the gift of healing. Now, healing has been provided to me on the basis that, firstly, I use it, and secondly, that I am to get nothing in return for it. So it is offered for free. No obligation, no catch, nothing will be recommended by me or to have from me, like a reading, or nothing will be recommended or sold from me or anybody else. It's literally the free lunch and there's nothing there. So if you have some heartache or grief or emotional issue, or you're just at your wit's end with something, or you have some physical issue, then check out the information that's in the description box, and don't be afraid to reach out to me. I mean, I've been providing this with this gift which comes through me for over 40 years now, and there literally is nothing that I haven't seen or heard, so don't be concerned. Everything that we talk about, I forget everything that we talk about at the end of the session, so I can assure you that everything is confidential. Now let's get 5 cards underway for you, shall we? And get this reading underway and see what is the first messenger for you, and it is the Wheel of Fortune. That's a great Jupiter Sagittarius, and there is the star. Now, both of those have got Viking runes and Hebrew letters on them, so we'll get into those in just a second. We're going to have our hands full, I think, because that's a 7 of stones. That has a Chinese hexagram on it. Hex meaning six lines, broken and unbroken, and they all have different meanings. There is the 6 of Wands, which I assume has a hexagram. Yes, it does. And what's something from roundabout in here? What do you think? Shall we take this one? And it is the Son of Stones in the West, Chief Seattle. Indeed. Well, why don't I bring the camera around and you come and sit down here next to me so that you and I can have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading, especially for you. Let's go and look first at this thing here. I don't know why developers put titles on cards. They don't mean what they say. The developers put this as failure, but it's not failure actually at all. It might be a moment where you are sort of standing still and actually sort of having some sort of a sense of stagnation or fear about something. It's not failure at all. Anyway, let's have a look at the art on it, shall we? Well, the stones don't seem to have any pattern, do they, as activity loses its purpose without sacred connection. Now, there's a sick tree there which bursts open, but look at the sky. It's clear, a potent sign of renewal for you. And you can see here there is a hexagram, hex meaning 6, of course, and these things were contained from the Chinese Book of Changes, which was written about 600 or 700 BCE, I think. Anyway, you can look that up on wherever you want to look it up, but they're all... These lines, the broken lines, are yin, or receptive principle, and the unbroken lines are yang, or active principle. And here we have 3 active lines pushing down on these broken lines. Now, they can be read either singly or in couplets, that is 2, or triplets in 3, or as I do, in 6. Now, if I'm looking to see what a reasonable Chinese translation would be, it would be stand still, actually. And I'd say this, that in periods of standstill, or stagnation if you like, well, sometimes confusion can prevail. Small-minded forces rise up when the powers of clarity and creativity seem to be waning within you. It's almost like the inmates are running the asylum. You've probably had periods like this before. I know I have. Well, look, when you have times like this, then summon up all your courage. Incidentally, everything else is so good here that I have no doubt that you push through. But if you do feel undue pressure, then just withdraw, have a tactical retreat, and concentrate on personal affairs with a humble dignity, even if that means letting go of some short-term rewards. Actually, desiring to change a situation too quickly can create conflict. And you know, by recognizing some, well, regretful activities or moments, you're actually preparing for future growth. Remember that a seed of prosperity is usually hidden inside the husk of misfortune. Now, astrologically, what's going on here? Well, with star and that and that and that. Well, here you go. You see, it's Saturn. Saturn in the 3rd decan of Taurus. So Saturn is the slow-moving and restrictive planet, and Taurus, of course, is the plodding, fixed sign of Earth. And put them together, and what you get is stagnation in some way, or a feeling of restriction. You might even be resigning yourself to things, or hesitating putting things into motion because you look at what are apparently insurmountable obstacles. Actually, it could well be that there is a fear of falling here. Now, in my experience, when Saturn enters, very often it can give rise to, well, it can partly give rise to fear, and fear is one of the factors in failure, I suppose, if you look at this stupid title on the thing. But I will say this, fear can also delay your recovery from things. I will say this though, if you have been trying with someone in a relationship setting and you are just not getting back what you need to get back from the person, though you provide plenty of opportunities and you're putting things in, it just might well be time to cut your losses and to move things on, you know. I think your ability to deal with things for a moment might be blocked by heavy and fearful expectations. So what you need to do is actually identify them specifically. Identify their content specifically and carefully. Because the recognition of a problem naming it, describing it. That's actually 98% of the solution to the problem, you realize. Now, what areas of your life worry you the most? Say this to yourself. I am willing to release all that is not serving me in my life. I have the courage to believe that all that happens in my life, as it always does, serves me for the best. Well, this should get you out of the doldrums then, because here, this is the card you drew first, incidentally. Oh, here we have the Hebrew letter and the Viking rune that's here. Isn't this an interesting depiction? Do you see a lady's face down here? I think that lady's face means Mother Earth looking up at the wheel. Here you'll see a man's face, and that's the sky god Zeus. Now there's the palm of a man, which is turning the wheel, and actually this letter here is calf. I'll get this to a second, which means palm. There is a snake here which talks about rejuvenation. These mushrooms speak of great good luck and good fortune coming to you. This eye that's there, I think that refers to time. And over here there's a dinosaur, and I think that refers to everything that's gone by in past generations and throughout the history of the planet. Now here it looks like a child, which could be either a little boy or a little girl with an old face. That suggests to me that it's speaking of ancestors and those that went before us. Now, this Viking rune that's here, you know the story of the runes, of course. What happened was that the king of the Norse gods, Odin, he was a great seeker of wisdom, and in search of a degree of wisdom at one time, he was required to tear out one of his eyes, which he did. And so he's depicted as being one-eyed as a result. Anyway, to find out what the runes were, he hung from the tree of life from one of its branches upside down for 9 days and 9 nights and stared into a well, the well of Erd. And within that well lived 3 Norns, as they were called, unmarried women who were similar to the Greek fates that determined what happens in people's lives, and also within the well were the runes. Anyway, at the end of 9 days and nights, without eating or drinking, the runes finally made their way to the surface and imparted their mystical and sacred meaning to Odin. Now this thing here is a form of Yara, and it means harvest or cycle, rewards for your past efforts, and you reaping what you have sown. It represents the cycle of the year, or more particularly, actually, the turning over of a new cycle. And it's the end of the longest night and the slow returning of the light itself. It's a time for you to reap what you have sown. And then if we turn to that Hebrew letter that's there, I mentioned that it was Kaf. Well, Kaf is the 11th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it means literally the cupped palm of a hand. It's like a cupped, outstretched palm ready to receive. Well, it's the shape of all containers, isn't it? Like a bowl or a cup or a jar. They're all based on that basic curved shape. And the calf represents the idea of a container. It represents form. A house is a form that contains the goings-on of people inside it. Your body is a form which contains the life and energy of you. The forms of the physical world are where the spiritual essence of life is able to manifest. I think it also teaches you to shape yourself, to bend the ego and shape your character. And it teaches you about what you contain. Do you contain worries and negative thoughts? Or do you contain what you aspire to in order to make it a reality? But there's no way around this. This is speaking of abundance, prosperity, and fortune for you. It's the great planet of Jupiter, which of course you know is your planet and brings you, at this time, a new beginning, an expansion, great creativity, a big breakthrough, and unexpected fortune. There's great good luck around here, and a chance opportunity. Winning is in the air, ups and downs. There may well be a life-changing meeting with someone that is on the horizon, I think, so be aware of what's around. And I think that it's also the case that you should be ready to act on any unexpected opportunities. Now, this is speaking also of unexpected change in your life, which is going to be favourable, even though it may not necessarily seem that way at first. Change is about to happen, so you might need to alter your present course or change things around to set the stage for the right outcomes to come into your life. Now, if no miracles are happening now, something is definitely wrong. You stand before the possibility of a great breakthrough, so use the moment. Are you really ready for the great fortune? What's still standing in the way? Say this to yourself. I am a prosperous individual. I am flexible in times of change. I enjoy manifesting internal abundance externally. Abundance, which created me, is what I am. And as a result, I am now ready for the miracle of my life. Let's go to the other end of that diagonal. I just want to have a look at Chief Seattle here. Now, Chief Seattle, he was the Indian Squamish tribe, as I think, head of the Plains people in northwest of continental United States, where Washington State is now. Actually, of course, the city of Seattle is named after him. And I think that this feather, as well as his hair blending into the earth, suggests that he spoke for all the Indian tribes. He was the guy that sought an accommodation with the European settlers, if you want to call them settlers, or invaders, if you want to call them that. And here is a whale, and that is connected by a lightning rod. And I think what this is speaking to you of is the connection. You will be a conduit. Actually, it's going here with this card as well, a conduit between the energy of heaven and earth. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on him because this isn't the main energy that's coming here, but you are going to have a great interest in structure and design, architecture. It could include things like, look, I'm not saying that you're going to go into the construction business, but it might mean things like hair, makeup, fashion, that type of thing, computer games, programming. This could also be somebody else who could be a Taurus or an Aries, actually. You are going to be unshakable, and you're going to have a great energy in dealings with material things and material problems. I think there's going to be a lot of physical activity around you now. You'll be very able to adapt to circumstances and turn them to your advantage. Now, this could also be somebody else, a person who has great energy that they can bring to bear on the most solid of practical matters. Someone who's energetic and enduring, a capable manager, I see. Someone who's steadfast and a persevering worker. Someone who's competent and ingenious, thoughtful, trustworthy, but somebody who might actually have a great degree of doubt about the spiritual side of things, and someone who might appear to be entirely lacking in emotion, and they won't make any effort to understand ideas which are new or which conflict with those things that they already have in mind for themselves. But you, however, are going to be, I think, taking responsibility for your life, becoming focused. You could be quite good at sport. You're going to put a lot of effort into practical things at the moment. Now, it's time in your life, I think, when you are goal-oriented and want to sort out the material side of your life, health, work, those things that are tangible to you. But what this is saying to me is that This is a time when you need to take action, because if you do so, important experiences are going to result. And that's talking about that. You get this, well, you're going to have ultimately success. Now, what activities do you enjoy, and what activities would help you towards self-realization? Say to yourself about work, turn it into something that you do enjoy. I am finding the work that fulfills me and satisfies me. Now, what's sitting above? Chief Seattle. Good on you, Chief. Let's have a look here. Very interesting. Here is, I think you'll agree with me, a rather interesting depiction of the star, if I may say so here, because there is the woman at the bottom of a bare, rocky hill where a stream of water splashes into a pool. Now, she's washing her hair, which I think is an act of unity with the earth itself. And her hair blends into the water. Can you see that? Now, if you look at her dress, that suggests age. Does it mean that she's old, or that she, the star, has been eternal? She is perhaps the mother of life. Now, there are no flowers or trees growing here. There's only water and rock, and they're the Earth's oldest forms, aren't there? Now, above her is a cluster of stars I can see, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you count that little one in the middle, 6, 7 little stars, which are also accompanied by a large double star. Now, have a look at these two things before I pull back. Here is Ewas, the rune, and that is Zadi, the letter. Now, looking at the rune first, Ewas, it actually technically refers to a yew tree, I think, up there in Scandinavia. But it does also speak of wisdom, the mystery of life and death, and passing through a gateway of some sort. The yew actually is a tree of life and death. Yet, this death is not final, it's a transition, a gateway through which we must pass to birth something new. And as with any new life, it requires sacrifice, leaving behind of something old to make way for what is to come, perhaps. Now, I think what we then see here is this Hebrew letter Sadi, which is the 18th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And that means the person who is just, as well as it also means the righteousness of the Creator. Now, the just person is always trying to be true, loving justice and fairness, aren't they? They're straight and fully honest with their own consciousness and conscience. The idea is that the world is broken, so every person must face their own evil to learn to restore it. Now, the literal meaning of Sadi is a fishing hook. Now, the person who is just, because this also means hidden, that person is hidden because they appear just like ordinary people despite their developed spiritual nature. Now, this is Saturn ruling Aquarius with Neptune exalted. Well, Aquarius is all about the individual and uniqueness, and yet it has an overall humanitarian outlook. Well, the star shares these qualities in that it is trying to remind you of the divinity and uniqueness within you. And it's encouraging you to be a fiber optic cable, if you like, to bring down your highest potential. This is a time of great inspiration, of the crystallization of ideas, self-recognition, a great trust in yourself, and maybe even a connection to universal intelligence. This speaks of great hope, happiness, opportunities, and optimism. Cosmic blessings are raining down upon you. You're going to be fulfilled and inspired by life, and it's a reminder to follow your dreams, those dreams that give you the most inspiration, and be open to love and trust creation and what it brings. And I think encouragement is now being given to you that although you may have had some testing times in the past, Now it's time to move forward with renewed hope and live an inspired life in which you can express yourself fully. So let your star rise. Say to yourself, my creative powers of imagination and my connection to all-encompassing consciousness, they show me the way to realize my ideas. And finally, we come to the card which speaks of your great success. And the artwork, I think, in some respects reflects that. Here is the ivy, which is an evergreen, by the way, and a sign of victory and success. It stands alongside 6 spears, which are even, growing out of barren rock. Now this hexagram, you see it down here? Hey, check this out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there are 6 broken lines. That hexagram means receptive power. Now, I can say this, that great receptivity, it can attract great gifts and great blessings. A natural responsiveness attracts success through support and perseverance, very often more than by aggressive action. So sometimes it's a good idea to demonstrate strength like a powerful but gentle mare, you know, the female horse, rather than like the aggressive and rampaging stallion. This is a really auspicious hexagram consisting of all those yin lines there, and it represents the power of the feminine principle. Such receptivity, which is here, is much more powerful and healing than you think. You see, the receptive force is sensual and subtle and can be overlooked by too much thinking or planning. I mean, when spring comes, for example, does the grass plan to grow? No, it doesn't. Well, I think this is a time to learn to respond to situations rather than seek to direct or to manipulate them. The mature feminine allows herself to be guided by a higher power and is skilled at graceful acceptance. And spiritually, well, her quiet contribution is highly effective, bringing a deeply felt kind of success. Now, this is added to by the astrology here, which is Jupiter, your planet of love, expansion, philosophy, combining with here the creativity in Leo. So you will have success in achieving your goals, victory, success, clarity, breakthrough, feeling inspired to continue. These are all with you. Well, I told you it was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. Now, unless I see you privately for a reading or for a healing, then of course I'll see you again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.